getting set up. We actually have people online. Hi, everyone. I've got everyone muted on Zoom right now, so if you have questions later on, you can go in here. You can type it in the chat window, and I'll see it. All right, I think we're recording. We have people here. Someone's muted. Okay. Call to order. Want to do roll call?
Alan,
Here.
Rob,
Here.
members of the board present, form that.
Do you want to do motions?
Go ahead, I'm still writing.
Oh, usually use those stuff. Motion to approve the March 9th. There was no meeting in April. Everyone was sick or not here. Just the members meetings. There's no board meeting. So we didn't approve the March 9th minutes yet.
Correct. And I want to I went through and recorded word for word about 5.5 minutes from the Zoom meeting. I just asked that to be with the secretary's notes as an entry.
Okay.
Other than that, I'll second the motion.
What was the subject of that 5.5 minutes?
Basically, the
And
due status of properties.
Okay, all right.
Other than that, I'm okay. I'll second the
I
motion to
agree.
approve.
All right, motion passes. Then there's the May 11th board meeting agenda.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Janet,
I approve.
passes. Do we typically approve the minutes from a members meeting? Because we recorded it, we put the minutes out for that. They did last year. Which was interesting because they didn't have a board meeting. But we did, so I'd say for the April 22nd meeting, we published the minutes for that. We should probably approve those. Have you seen those yet, or do you want another meeting?
No, I'm good with them. I already looked them over today.
Motion to pass.
I had a couple of comments.
Good.
That was this is the April 22nd meeting.
It is.
There was a motion in there by Mr. Penny concerning the mediation arbitration. That fairly well passed, but we had on a pending legal approval. I was suggesting that we set up a committee for that and ask Jim Penny to be the chairperson of the committee. There's more to it than just what you proposed. There's the background of where it's going to sit within the documents and who's going to control in the future. You can't just say it's going to be ABC mediation company. It's got to be stated in a way that maybe another committee or a board determines that. Maybe it gets into pay issues or who determines how much, but an initial committee can hammer all that out. So I'm
not sure what else we need. So what's the really says the legal will create the right language of how to insert into the documentation. Correct?
Yeah, I already done all that, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, so what else? I'm not understanding what else we need.
He's wanting to make another motion to form a committee.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not sure what the committee was going to do.
Formalize the action that was already voted on and approved for mediation.
More detailed discussion here and how to be implemented.
In my mind, more alignment to the state statute specific to that.
Okay. Do we need, is this something we need?
I'm just saying beyond that, how to organize it, how to determine who's gonna determine? In other words, have the committee set it up so that it's setting up the policy or the procedure to submit back to the board to agree to, which describes who you go to, how you go to them. Maybe investigates all the question and answer items that we can expect in the community.
I would say that would be a conversation for after the legal input. It'll be a moot point if they say that we can't do it that way.
Hang on, so. Legal's gonna take a look at how it gets for the documents. What you're talking about, I think, sounds like it's for the details of how it's implemented and used. So why don't we in legal opinion, let's not prematurely put it together because they've been really slow with it. So,
Okay, and have we made headway with the legals
yes, we have.
on that specific?
It's been provided to them now. They've been involved in a couple of back-to-back cases. That's why they've been hard to get, but I did get through to them this week. And explain that some of this really has to need some priority on it. They're doing what they can. So I have an hour meeting scheduled later on this week. So hopefully tomorrow she doesn't cancel out. Just to give some more details on that, some other things to be answers. So
Jim, do you have a comment?
I do. Everybody's saying kind of the correct things. Legal can make the wording, which will fit in the bylaws, I think, as opposed to CCRs, but they'll determine. And that's a simple sentence or two that will be inserted where they suggest. Implementation, which is, I think, right bringing up, is an entirely different matter. For example, you can't have dogs not on a leash. Well, what is the policy if somebody violates that? There's steps and letters and so on and so on. So creating a process or policy and procedures that further explain how that process occurs if someone comes in with a complaint is an appropriate thing. So I'm glad to help.
The implementation details.
The implementation details.
Yeah, that's both. I guess I didn't communicate well.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to ask.
And this is not anything that's been brought up, but I think Janet did initially. It's a fair question. The members meeting occurred. We voted on certain things. Nowhere in that I can see in either the bylaws or the CCNRs does it obligate the board to take whatever the motions were and then go through whatever you all are going through. So I appreciate, and I think everyone else does, that we do that, but that's how and why we get things done. Members meet and then it becomes legal once it's in the bylaws and or CCNRs. So somehow we need to I guess formalize downstream who's responsible when the members meet and certain actions are undertaken. Is it incumbent upon the board then to implement? I don't know the answer to that, but
This is my question. So I just look back and says, yeah, the board published it and approved it before. So we'll do that for now, just so it's on the record. And so, you know, members come up with stuff, the boards will implement it anyway, right? So yeah, so I think it's fine that we do it this way.
but a committee to investigate is an appropriate thing.
So, okay. So I'm thinking, who would be on this committee?
As a board member, I would be, they call me the liaison, keep in touch with it.
Yeah.
As Mr. Penny originated the idea, I think everybody liked it. I would be the leader or the chairperson. And then whoever else we can bring into it. I don't know. I'm sure we could find people, but we can't.
How about?
Yes, but my first part.
Concerning mediation instead of lawsuit.
How about we get a members list together for the committee? Why don't we continue with legal now and try to form a committee next time when we have everyone on there? Seems like when we start something and well, two people can't get anyone else on it, right? So I would like to see the list. How many people do we want? I mean, 3's a minimum?
Yeah, I think at least 5 people just generally, we'll get we'll get something and have it approved, all the,
If we get people ahead of time to sign up, then we'll form a committee next week. Is that fair enough?
So next meeting, we'll have a charter, we'll have a list of members, we'll have the goal.
and maybe quite frankly, deal with it at a higher level in terms of in the future when there's members meetings and that, not just specifically on arbitration, mediation, whatever, but here's the process of how we make the change into the official documents.
When they do something, it goes to the board, the
Yeah.
board goes to legal, the board. It goes to a committee if needed, and then those are steps. that get
Yeah,
taken.
so outline those steps, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So, okay.
And the second motion that Mr. Penny made concerning the CCNRs. I'll agree that we agree not to enforce it. But that does not eliminate the CCNR. You cannot amend or change or add or delete a CCNR or the charter without 75% vote. So under those, what we just talked about, I'm going to approve those minutes.
Yeah,
Are you seconding or are you?
are you seconding?
Who is seconding
Are you
this?
seconding with
I'll
comments?
second, I'll second.
Are you seconding with comments? With these comments?
Yes.
Okay.
And once again, legal will tell you where that goes, which will be in the
Of
bylaws.
course, yeah. Okay. Do we have any other motions? We had members meeting on May 18th, there was no quorum, so. This is April 22nd, but I'd say the earlier one, we don't have minutes for that because nothing happened. So. We should publish that, nothing happened on this day. Okay. All right. Any other motions right now?
Nope.
Maybe later, okay. All right, things that have changed since last time, our treasurer Steve Izina has resigned. So temporarily, I'm not going over that, so taking over those things right now. We're looking for new members, obviously, and we've talked to a couple now that we think might be able to help us out. So we're gonna see what we can do by next meeting to be able to add them on.
Say add to the board.
Add to the board. You know, it's three's pretty minimum, so we just, I think a better number would give 5, because that gives us a little depth. If in case someone has to travel, as I did back in March, as people have been sick before, so. I mean, we had to cancel the meeting, right? So that's what we're looking at, and we have some ideas, and I've already talked to some people, so we're getting there. There was nothing on architectural new.
Nope.
Okay. Section 3, committee anyway. I think that's all in legal's hands right now. I don't think the committee has anything really to do at this point, and it's been a little bit fragmented things, so I think it has to. We have the questions already framed for legal, so I'd like to make a motion to dissolve the section 3 committee. Any discussion?
Amen. I don't have that charter in front of me. For the goals. My concern would be those items that were section 3 committee to determine how are they going to be done if the committee's resolved.
Do what?
any of the items that were in the charter for the committee to accomplish. If the committee is dissolved,
I don't think they're gonna accomplish them if they haven't accomplished already. We have a definition and it's still legal.
Janet, you had that committee, what was your opinion, will dissolve it or?
I just think it was probably too early to start it because we need legal to do anything. So the committee really can't do anything without legal guidance,
Okay.
so. It's not saying you can't form it again later, if it comes.
I think the remaining items are the focus stuff. I think the board can.
You're making that motion then?
I did.
Dissolve it?
I'll second it.
Okay, third,
All right, treasurer's report. There's about 2 months missing of the P&L and the balance sheets because in looking at them, they don't match as well as they should with our current bank accounts. We had looked at getting an audit done and I talked to him on this subject. And I think it's a little bit premature to do an audit, but I think we need to do some cleanup first. And so I'm taking a step back and looking at some of that items first. And try to get those resolved. So just for information, we have on the order of 195,000 in the bank right now, and a lot of our larger bills have already been paid. So we don't have any pending large bills that I know of right away. Biggest bills earlier this year were legal and insurance payments, so those are all done. So except one. So that's the treasurer's report. Couple things here. The cell tower thing, I don't know if it got brought up before, but they changed their mind, so that's pretty much gone. So what's that?
Do we have to wait to ask questions? I had a question on the treasurer's issue.
Oh, sure.
My concern is when you said you're gonna do some cleanup,
Yeah.
as would be normal business practice,
Mhm.
I would only ask that you all are obligated to retain whatever records do exist in some form.
Of course.
So when the audit occurs, your changes being
Audits.
implemented is fine, but they have to go back and or have the.
Audits need to be done periodically, but currently, as it stands right now, with the fiasco last year with the bank that went on, and the changing banks and everything else, we have a nice discrete report to start with. Even with Kim resolving the statements, resolving the banks, everything else, there's ones that don't match up. And there was a third complication, of course, with QuickBooks, because I holding on to our money for a long time. And they returned a large portion of it. I don't know if they returned all of it. So there's some basic cleanup that I think we need to do. And I think the nice thing is the one bank account's fairly new. So it's pretty easy to go back in time on that one. And her monthly statements don't match up with what the bank says. So something is missing someplace, which see, I mean, it seemed like things were resolving. But QuickBooks likes to adjust things for you. So we're looking at that right now. So yeah, we're just trying to pull it all back into line without a finagling factor to make it balance. So, we should be able to know where every penny went, but we'll find out. So yes.
so. I remember reading an email about bringing a QuickBooks expert in for up to 70 hours for $500 to review the system.
Yeah, I talked to Kim today about doing that. Yes.
That might still be on.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, because she doesn't know why QuickBooks was doing certain things. So we're going to have. And my understanding is QuickBooks is not as good as it should be either. So I may see it for something else and where it's set it up. So.
Okay.
I like so the plan is for that is to do some cleanup and try to get this resolved, try to get that all resolved. Hopefully we can do it. And at some point, it's typical for a corporation of any sort of entity to do an audit. And I think it's been a while. So I'd like to do cleanup first. And I talked with the guy who does audits and stuff. And he was thinking from my description that, it could be expensive if they have to chase down all this stuff. But if we can do some basic cleanup first, it saves us money. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have you spoken to Michael about maintenance department?
I've talked about certain things, what reference what?
The equipment seems like it's kind of breaking down.
Is it?
And some of the things you gotta look at, because that's one of our major equipment that we gotta keep going. You know, I used to run Leilani's machine, the old machine back in the day,
Yeah,
and they break down really quick, you know? So it just came out of the shop, what, 7 years ago?
yeah,
But I believe from what he was talking, there are some of the parts are breaking down. So we gotta let it go until it's
okay,
completely broken, yeah? We
I'll,
gotta get it fixed.
yeah, we have to have stuff going, so is equipment getting old enough that it's hard to get parts for it, do you know, or anything, or is it just aging out on us?
2 years ago, the sidearm broke. Yeah. 8, 9 grand to get that thing fixed, and getting the parts for it was not easy. We replaced the lawnmower about 2 or 3 years ago, and that seems to be working just fine. The old one, we got about 10 years out of it, which was a lot. I
Yeah,
think the life expectancy is about 7 years, and he mowed, it used to be 50 miles, 5 miles from the street, but back and forth each way.
yeah,
And he's doing that, you know, continuously.
yeah,
So the lawnmowers, I think, still good, but the sidearm is a different issue, and that's very, very, you know, it's a 6-figure sum to replace sidearm.
I would ask that he let us know about these things, because I don't think any of
I
us are
think we
meeting.
try to, it seems like
I was here
there's
today.
no communication between the board and him, yeah?
Okay,
He tried to tell Kim, and it seems like Kim doesn't follow through.
I was talking with him today, he mentioned, but I'll bring it up.
Yeah, I've tried to catch up with him more than once, and you seem to miss paths all the time.
When we had board meetings historically, the maintenance manager, Michael, would come and give his report.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
we should be getting, even sometimes he would just submit it in writing. You know, just, here's the issues, here's where we are. There was originally a question about scraping the edges of the streets.
Yeah,
And that went on for a couple or 3 months, and then we had to have the machine repaired in order to be able to do it. So, but anyway, he's very thorough, keeps great notes.
yeah,
So,
so,
yeah, we should invite Michael to come,
okay,
give a quick report or write, submit a report and write for board meeting.
I think that would be great.
okay,
I have one more question.
yeah,
I just like to back up with the CCNR's committee. At the past meeting we had in February. And I submitted 7 complaint forms to Janet. So how is that going about?
I want to wait and go over those as a committee. We had at least one and possibly 2 people interested in joining. We need to go arrange, go over and make sure they're in good standing so they can be added.
Because I don't want to wait too long, because the longer we wait, then, you know,
Oh, I agree.
overread it, huh?
We spoke with one today and he told me he'd get all to tomorrow, tomorrow and try to arrange to do that. So then. Rather than just be meetings of you and I like we've had, because. You know, I'd like to include it to be committee, not just, if that's okay with you.
Finally. That's it.
I wasn't sure if I had a legal update or not, I really don't, so. Other than we're moving forward on this, on some stuff, I actually got them to do a little bit, so. What else?
Rod was going to touch on something membership meeting.
Yeah. At the last meeting, there was concern about farm animals, so I'm gonna ask that we post this notice to the community concerning farm animals. The LCA committee has and is trying to deal with farm animals, including chickens and roosters. Fortunately, there is misunderstanding between the actual bill, SC number 186 HD1, and misspoken interpretation by community members. I've got a go-to, and when it's electronic, you just click on that and take you right to the bill, or you can read the entire bill. Regardless of interpretation of the first 4 pages, the reality is section 4. This act shall take effect on January 1, 2050. And page 5 confirms section 4. So everybody's worried about that bill, but they don't have to worry about it for 27 years. So from the LCA Declaration of Conveyances, Conditions, and Restrictions, CCNR number 20, covenants running with the land. This passes agreement to abide by covenants and bylaws with passage of title regardless of whom. So even if you buy that property after 2003, all the rules and regulations of the community still apply to that property. CCR number 12, animals. Only dogs, cats, or other household pets may be kept on any of said lots, provided that they are not kept, bred, or maintained for any commercial purposes and otherwise kept in accordance with zoning ordinances, rules, and regulations otherwise applicable to urban land use. So that's letting you know no farm animals. CCR number 15, all conveyances subject hereto. Go to lionstates.org, where you read that number 15 confirms the prior and specifically subject further, however, to the proviso that no commercial purposes involving the keeping or raising of cattle, dogs, or other livestock. Finally, CCR number 7, nuisance. No noxious or offensive activity shall be carried on upon any of said lots, nor shall anything be done thereon which may be or may become an annoyance or nuisance to the neighborhood. In conclusion, farm animals, including chickens, are CCR violation number 12, 15, and possibly 7. If a complaint is filed to the architecture committee, it is obligated to initiate procedure. That should resolve any issues about farm animals. So here's a copy.
You gave me a copy and I got it right in there.
And you need another electronic one?
Do you want an electronic? I wasn't able to open what you sent me. That's why I was,
Okay.
We want to post this, post a link to it.
yes,
Maybe an addendum to the notes.
I would agree.
You know, sure.
Can I have a copy of this?
Yes.
So that means electronic copy of it.
You have one.
Did you send me one already? I don't think you sent me one, did you? Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sent the-
That's the document.
Once it's posted, it's easy because then you just click on the blue, it takes you directly to that state bill.
The, I've read 186 and the other one too, so it comes as a surprise to me, it says not to be implemented until 2050.
Good.
And I'm just curious, I appreciate Rob does deep research and I appreciate that, but can we verify in fact, because the chicken thing is a big issue in the community through legal. It ought to be very crystal clear based on what Rob said.
And we can certainly add that to the conversation with legal.
I just hesitate, everything goes to legal because a prior board, every single thing went to legal and an extreme bill. When a lot of things we're talking about are common sense and it's ABC, it's black and white.
Well, again, that if it's that black and white, that should be a 30-second legal figuring it out.
Okay.
Yeah, there's notation in one of them, I can't tell you which number off the top of my head, that says the state, because HOAs were trying to hop around and get around these regulations, created this back in 2003 or whatever. Yeah, and the point is, from that, a cursory reading, of which I'm guilty, obviously, of not finding that 2050, says, here's all the rules, and it outlines them to the point of saying you can have a crematorium and all kinds of things on ag lots. But if in fact it clearly says not to be implemented for 47 years, well, from when they originally did it, that would be pretty incredible. It's not that I doubt it, but it's just that's very interesting. So, and if it's that crystal clear, then we as a community need to state to everybody here it is. No, you can't have this, you can't do this, you can't do this.
So that's what that does.
And that's why I said, and I also, legal, because I've heard in coming to the meetings, I've heard. Yes, you can, and then I heard, no, you can't, and it's gone back and forth. This, what he researched and presented us with. It's in black and white, and if it's as clear as it says, then,
Well, there's both the Senate bill and the House bill, but I understand. We'll reconcile that out, and I'm glad, and I will go back and look again. Then we need to get through the process of since so many people do have chickens. What is it's like having dogs, not on a leash. What is the penalty? When do we implement? How do the letters? What do the, all of that has to be fleshed back out.
I remember there was an effort for that a few years ago, but I guess I'm not sure what all that structure did, that fee structure. CCNR violations.
it's all in that folder, you can look at it
Okay,
anytime you want.
Okay. Anything else, Rod?
Not for me, I'm done.
All right, Janet,
No,
let's do Q&As, questions.
Oh, no, we got 251 on one.
She has details, and I didn't bring the details with me.
Okay, I've been asking for that since March.
That's pretty hard. I thought it was April.
At the beginning of March. And I've been asking for the formula since March.
We didn't have quorum in March.
Pardon?
We didn't have quorum in March.
When did we have the first members?
April 22nd,
The one before that.
March 18th.
We had the meeting in March. I was asking for the forum members in March. We were short by 216. You guys postponed the meeting till April, and now all of a sudden we got 251. I don't believe the numbers.
Okay.
I've got all.
Post it. I'm not the only one. People want to see how we got.
And that's. I have it all broken into categories. This is what we have in proxies. This is what we have in lots of people here. It's all broken down.
She has all the details.
Uh-huh.
All right. For the April 22nd,
And then we do prior to that, too.
we did put the total. I understand you like details, we'll publish the detail. The exact breakdown of members who were present. Proxies that were there for a vote for the board, proxies that were for other people to vote, proxies that were there for quorum purposes. So we have all those.
Okay.
Okay.
Which proxies counted and which ones didn't count? Like the county,
Mhm.
did you count their proxies?
For
Yes.
quorum purposes only.
Okay, they don't pay dues. Why are they counting the proxies?
Because at this point, they're still part of the community,
Then bill
and that's what section 3 is looking at, so.
you guys, it's like whatever is in your.
Guys.
You use it.
Don't give us that
But
crap.
no,
Previous boards decided who was gonna pay and who wasn't, and they mixed it all up, and this is why we're trying to pull it in the line. And we're not gonna take action and kick people out of votes and everything else. If they weren't billed, properly, if some of them did pay, some, so we're fixing that this year. But we're not gonna take unilateral action just because previous boards did, that ain't right. We're stuck with what they got to us until legal says you're not stuck with it. And that's the way it's gonna be.
Yeah,
So,
if I may,
yeah,
with regard to Steve's concern about adding up to the numbers or whatever,
yeah.
you said you'll post all that.
Mhm.
I don't think it's a good idea to post who gave proxies to who and so on.
No, we won't say that.
You can say we had so many that fit, but on the other hand,
Yeah.
a member is welcome to come at any time and ask the board permission to look at if there's concern. You know, did Phil really give a vote to Sally and stuff like that?
Yeah.
But it's not necessary to post that online.
No, I'm not going to. So,
Jim, could I request that you meet with me and go over, because I've got everything, I've got the order and lists, everything, and you can verify my numbers.
Glad to do it.
Because I also don't think it's right to just post it for everybody, whatever, so.
Pretty sure proxy is privileged. Of that. In my opinion, we do not allow you to see who gave a proxy to whom, just the total number.
That's really what I'm saying.
You don't see the properties were represented by proxy, but
Yeah, like, who gave me their proxy?
you like not, you use the proxy, but whose proxy votes are included to you there.
I've asked for
Because
that.
that's the property that's being represented, that's not private. Who asked the vote should be represented, not what property that the vote on behalf of. Like if I give you.
they were checked, the proxies were checked, I guess, whether or not they were good standing. They were checked to see how many properties they had. People coming into the meeting signed in with their name, number of properties, and they were all checked to make sure they were in good standing. So that's true. Why the meetings literally started a half hour later just to make sure all the numbers were correct.
So any other annual meeting proxies need to be certified.
Pardon?
It's like every other annual meeting we've ever had, the proxies need to be certified.
By whom?
When you guys went on board, you guys say
We never had a.
yeah, they're not about it.
No, that's the ballots on the vote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was out through the proxy.
That was the balance on the vote.
That's
Or
for the
that's
annual
the
meeting.
audience.
That's for the annual meeting. For the proxies. Now, whether we had a vote or not, that's a different subject. Proxies are proxies. They need to be certified.
You want me to get a stamp?
Kept it from in there.
Next. Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Third.
Motion passes. Thank you everyone for coming.
There were no questions online.
There were none.
I think it's a good point. My word was.
No problem, and I want you to. It's actually. My first 3,000. It's actually taking the first 3,000. 20.
What's that?
That's